What does today have to say about the memories of yesterday? What would be the fate of today when tomorrow comes? What is tomorrow? If not countless todays constantly put on replay, we play, we fight and we struggle. Trying to get to the top of the pyramid in this jungle, there are no manuals here. And regardless of how hard you search, a man's destiny can never be found on Google. So we learn to pick up our torchlights and search first within. When I was 4, my mama told me to dream big, so I became one with my future. Joined at the head like Siamese twins, or Dobe and Cassin would look like a quack trying to separate this one. I learned early the virtues of education. By the time I was 8, I knew not to play with my grades, because it was either good grades or you end up by the gates. And no one sees value in the life of a person who makes a living, opening doors for others to live. Listen, no one sees value in the life of a person who makes a living, opening doors for others to live. So we learn to live our lives by leaving others behind. When I was 12, a teacher barely earning above minimum wage came to class and asked what I wanted to become. I told him I wanted to become a poet. And then he looked at me with all the seriousness he could muster and said, Habib, if you want a good future for yourself and your family, then you have to be more realistic, as if the reality he's living in is wealthy enough to fund the future he dreamt of as a kid. This is not an insult to teachers. But don't we all think it's about time we stop being viruses, creating silencers, and allow more than 3 idiots live their lives? We are surrounded by conventions that keeps us from rising. We've been beaten down so many times, we get fear of heights just standing up for the things we believe in. At 22, I already had a BSc and an MSc. My grades were filled with so much colors, even the blind could see it. Yet the only place I see my dream jobs were in my sleep. See. I've not asked you to join yet. It's about time we wake up to the reality that sometimes your A-graded 10 papers are sometimes better at trapping Akara than landing you your dream job. But dream big and dream hard, because one day you go surely blow. Jobs most times offer nothing but wet dreams. At 24, I learned to dream with my eyes wide open. Sacrificing night after night on the altar of success, I learned early that a man that wakes up in the morning with great ideas definitely didn't sleep at night. The future is now. It is just not evenly distributed. Wow. So if you keep believing that you are the leaders of tomorrow today, you'd never know when your tomorrow would become another person's today. Stay woke. There is no future in the future. The future is not a place we are going. It is one we are creating. Its parts are to be made, not found. So leave the noun so pronounced that your story would be written in present progressive tense rather than future tense. So this is not me believing, hoping, wanting to become. This is me already becoming the greatest spoken word poet of all time. I am actually disappointed. This is how much clap I deserve. I came out of retirement to come and do this poem here today. I came out of retirement. For Gab's sake, I decided to be a poet one more time. Good evening, everyone. It's really nice and beautiful to welcome everybody back to Gab. I think I've been super excited since the announcement that Gab is coming back was made. For some of us here that are old Gab people, like proper Gab people, I think the last time we did Gab was January 2020? March 2020 was the last Gab we've done before this. And before, when we were still doing Gab actively, for me it was a monthly escape that I always look forward to. From the craziness of work to the craziness of Lagos. And then it just felt like a place that you can come and meet people that are experiencing the same kind of things you're experiencing. And where their thought is at is similar to where your thought is at. And then you can have these very, very invigorating and engaging conversations around these things. And then you get to have like amazing performances. Maybe not as amazing as the one I just did, but amazing all the same. In between all of those. So when Gab was coming back, when we had the discussion to bring Gab back, it was more like, oh, this is more or less like something that I personally needed. So more or less, this is just like for me being a part of the Gab team is using everybody here to fulfill my own selfish wants for wanting that kind of community. But that said, I know every single one of us here. There are people that know what Gab is. There are some people here that this is their first Gab experience. And one thing I always tell people that I can always guarantee is when you experience Gab, you always want to experience Gab. And in a couple minutes, we'll see what that looks like. Gab is conversation, it's community, it's heart, it's culture, it's performances. So I think I would want to say welcome to everyone again, and I hope that we have an amazing night here today. So to do proper introduction. So again, I think one key thing we need to know about Gab is very unscripted. We just come, we talk, and the conversation just creates itself. We could be here. I don't know what we're talking about at today's Gab. I'm sure everyone else doesn't know. So that's why I'm just here, and I like talking. That's why Rez threw me in front here and say, oh, yeah, enter, and start talking. So, but I think to get things started, I think I would like to introduce Rez. Gab was his dream, was his vision, and then it's the reason why we have this place. So give a round of applause. Maybe like the first one you gave me, not as big as the second one. He's my boss, but for Rez Afolabi is the convener of Gab. You people like Ojoro. Me, I did poetry. I got small applause. I called somebody's name. I given that plenty applause. In my next life, I'll be 6'5" too.
But you just lied. I'm not 6'5". If I was 6'5", my head should be touching the roof. All right. Good evening, everyone. How is this for projection? Unlike his voice. Yeah, we're taking little jabs here and there. Okay. My name is Rez Afolabi. You are welcome to Gab. Gab means Griot and Bards. I see a few faces, and like Abib said, it's a platform that we ran for roughly 3 years, but the pandemic came, and then with the pandemic, we had the break, and then the break became extended. But one thing kept happening. I'll be at the hospital, I'll see a random strange face, someone I don't recall knowing from anywhere. Be like, are you not that guy? What happened to Gab? When is he coming back? I'm at the mall. I'm at an event. Besides being a cultural enthusiast, a creative, a performer, a poet myself, I also have a corporate life. So sometimes I find myself in some corporate spaces and then someone recognizes me again. And then says, what happened to Gab? What happened to Gab? And that was in the first 2 years. And then in the last 2 years, it went from what happened to Gab to when is Gab coming back? And then it went from when is Gab coming back to we must have Gab. What is it that you're doing? What do you need? A few weeks back, what we tried to do, so Gab used to be at a different location. But now we have a cultural partnership with Rap Joints, Lagos. Rap Joints first. Yes, I think I want that round of applause. It takes a lot to put events and communities together. Rap, like Gab, like he said, is that very organic community. There is a bit of structure to how it flows, but it's totally unscripted. We just have an idea of how we should go. We let it have a soul of its own. You don't know what you would meet every edition, but for those who have been here and have been part of us in those years, they will tell you that every edition is unique in its own way, and it's always memorable. Lifelong friendships have been found at Gab. Some people have gotten married from Gab. Some people have got jobs. They've got contracts from Gab. At some point in time, the community was so big, Louis will bear me witness on this, that will spill over into the streets at the other location within Ikoyi. And then when we are done with the events, for hours, 1 hour, 1.5 hours, people are outside just bonding. And it was, and it is, a very strong community. So, to those who are joining us for the first time, I will introduce Gab to you as that village square, that African village square, that family courtyard. And you can see the way we are all seated, where we keep it very intimate. And part of the objective is that, again, it feels like you are coming back home to family. You've gone out to work. It's once a month, right? But you've gone to work, you've gone through a lot of stress, you have experiences you want to share. Sometimes our conversation is even reflecting the pulse of the nation. And sometimes you just create conversation out of thin air. But what you would get is you would bond. Sometimes it ends up in group therapy where I've seen people cry at Gab based on the impact. I can see you nodding because you're having the memories based on the impact of certain conversations, right? So it's a very powerful community, and the demand for us to bring it back was so strong, and we're here now. But the dream and the vision is even bigger, and we as you can see now, we have live streaming because we're also thinking of, in the past we used to go live on Facebook, IG, and different people would connect from different parts of the world. And part of the feedback from such people is, how can we also part of us, obviously. All right, so once again, my name is Rez. Gab means griots and